Welcome to the Durham Town Council meeting of Monday, June 24th, 2024. We're in the Durham Town Hall and it's 7 o'clock, and I call this meeting to order. We are not expecting Councilor Ford tonight, so if we can just go around and do a roll call, that'd be great.
Curtis Register. Eric Lund.
Wayne Burton.
Joe Friedman.
Sally Needell.
Todd Selig.
M. Friedrichs, and I use the pronoun.
James Buber.
Heather Grant.
All right. The next item here is approval of the agenda, and I would like that we move the unfinished business, which is the discussion of the ordinance from the zoning ordinance definitions, and to after the roundtable, so that we take care of that business of the council first, and then do the unfinished business to the roundtable.
And that mean also after the minutes?
No, I think the minutes I don't expect to have, yes, after the minutes too. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes,
I-
yes.
I mean, I think it would free up Michael and Paul to leave a little bit earlier if we let them go before the round table.
Unless we make it very short.
This is making,
It won't
yes.
be.
Okay.
They've been forewarned.
Right,
That-
right,
that it
right,
could
right.
happen.
But the flip side is that if we spend too much time on that unfinished business, we might be able.
Right, so, and the unfinished business, the definitions are not an urgent, has to happen right now kind of thing. So that was my thought. But you all can decide. I will go ahead and make the motion, and we can decide whether we want to go that way or not. So
I'll second it.
should I make it, clarify it? So I move that we change the agenda order so that finished business happens after approval of the minutes and the Councilor Administrator Roundtable. Councilor
And I second that.
Friedman seconds. Any discussion?
So you already passed this, warned them about this prior to?
did.
Okay.
I said if you all approved it, then they might be last. Yes,
Okay.
yes. Any other questions? Yes?
Nope, no
We're
question.
good to go? Okay. It does not need a roll call vote, so all those in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed? Looks unanimous. All right, so we'll have that last.
And I would like to make a item B from the unanimous consent agenda.
Okay, well, when we get there, we'll do that.
Oh, okay.
That's fine, sure, okay. Special announcements, except that the next meeting is Monday, July 15th. In the summer, we don't have the same schedule for town council meetings, so just those of you that are watching or listening, we won't be meeting again until July 15th. So now we have public comments. For anyone who would like to speak, make sure we have your name and address.
William Hall, Durham.
And Bill, just before you start, I just want to ask the counselors, because we're not sure how much material we're going to try to cover tonight, that we will save any questions or comments or thoughts about what we hear from the public tonight until we get to the roundtable. It's okay. Yes, thank you, Bill.
Okay, I was watching television, the news at 11 o'clock, and the storm that went from 93 to the seacoast through a dozen towns, there only listed one town with road closed. It was Durham. We had 3 of them. So I went out today to look at the sort of damage that was done and see if there's any evidence of roadside work. There wasn't. We apparently don't maintain our roadsides at all. Madbury is starting ditching, roadside clearing. They got a contractor coming in to help them on the roads they didn't do last year. We've been through this with Todd. He stopped the power company years ago, cutting along the power lines on Durham Point Road. It took a while to get that under control, but it'll take an awful long time to get this town to where it needs to be to have reliable power and access. 2, Eric brought up after I spoke later in the meeting that Durham may have a greater distance than Dover does between water services. That has no input on the issue at all. Durham's system has not expanded for a number of years other than the line going up to Riverwoods, added hundreds of people. We've added 2,000 beds, I don't know if that even includes Riverwoods, and they're all off the system that was already there. Now in Dover, they put in a new plant on on French Cross Road. I ran the pipe down French Cross Road, then on Toland Road, all the way down to connect into the end of the line coming up from Dover, then across Watson Road to 6th Street, and I don't believe, all those houses were served by wells, and I don't think anybody's connected in. So that's miles of pipe. Case is, there's a transfer pump at the pressure reducing valve out on Technology Way. What we've had is what you call deferred maintenance. I have no idea what they thought they were going to do if we lose the well and we can't get water back up there. So he saw the situation and he was so alarmed by it, he isn't even going to touch the old pump. He put in a whole new installation. And that's probably what should have been done. Actually, I'm glad we didn't fix it because I didn't trust the people that would have been technically working on it at all. So that pretty much tells you where we're at. Now, on the water itself, we've had a number of anomalies. Just before Todd got here, we straightened out the water once and for all with the university. After Pat McQueen left, they billed us for $89,000. Todd paid it. Shouldn't have paid a thing, because the agreement is we produce enough water at our well to take care of our people. Sure, some of it goes to the university and we get some of their water. We don't have any control over it, we don't know what it is, and it doesn't matter. We bill the sewer treatment plant based on the university's meters as a percentage of the whole compared to our. So we all pay the same amount per 100 cubic feet. That's how the sewer works, because we run the sewer plant. We just did a multi-million-dollar pipe thing, and the university paid their share of it. We did the pumping station, the university paid their share of it. Upgrades at the plant, the university pays their share of it, because they don't have a treatment plant. When the university threw us off their water system 40 years ago, put us on our own, they didn't help us one dime. You're on your own, expeditiously get your own water supply. So George Crombie developed a well out in Lee, and he put pipe all the way from Lee down to the railroad tracks. And that helped the university. They didn't have to dig up their lines that were the C factor was so bad you couldn't run a fire hydrant. They got their water lines taken care of for them for free. And we're not charging, I'm not saying we should. We also built, so they didn't have to pay for that. We put in, that project put in a new, renovated the pumping station at the corner of Imagine old Route 4 or the old Route 4. And that's been fixed since then. But I believe that when it's fixed since then, it comes under the sewer bill and the university gets billed for their share, which it's about time. Now, when you get to the water, we have our supply, we have our meters, our piping.
Thanks,
You want
Bill.
me to stop?
I do.
No,
But
you're a genius, okay.
kind of how we set it up.
So in the past, I've sometimes found that my leading slide doesn't show up on DCAT, so I was talked to Craig, so he always told me to wait a few seconds. So let me see if, because I do want to get the full show of people who are watching it later. So I'm trying to, okay. So wait, enough time to get it all up there. So
Okay.
Joshua Meyer with 7 Chesley Drive. I'd like to share some details about police actions that I witnessed on the rally at May 1. Started out very peacefully. It was at 5:37. At 7:37, it was a lot less. One of the students who was caught up in this had spoken to you on February 19th in favor of the ceasefire resolution, Aidan Turner. After the police crackdown, arrested for alleged assault on the UNH chief of police, that they kept serious charge. They kept him overnight to the next day. Officials in the university and the town invoked this famous outside agitator trope, that these were not university students, even though 10 of the 12 arrested were students. The 11th was a mom of an alum. The 12th was a Durham resident. Both of those had spoken to you on February 19th as well. I think Todd was somewhat misinformed about what had happened, and described that these were people not necessarily from the university swelling the crowd, and they brought in stuff and barricades and encampments. The primary crowd swelling, as I saw, was the arrival of student counter-protesters who were waving flags, shouting USA, USA, calling the regular protesters terrorists, cheering down. The only identified outside agitator so far is the governor of New Hampshire, who hours before the protests called all these protests organized by Jewish Voice for Peace and many Jews, pure anti-Semitism. The university admitted that it was the governor, not them, that made the heavy weaponry. And this was again hours before this protest started. The UNH claimed some things in the timeline, which they said at 6:30 the chief dean attempted to enter a linked armed circle, de-escalate the situation, is physically prevented from doing so, call in troops. Durham is called in to backup. What really happened, as I witnessed, was the normally very professional chief dean out of uniform and unto the protesters, charged at peacefully chanting students to wrestle away a small rain flap for a tent. Hardly a de-escalation action. Aidan Turner observes, there's him on the right, does not engage with Chief Dean. Contrary to UNH claims, there are no locked arms, as you can see. There's no erected tent here. Wrestling Chief of Police. Aidan Turner watches. He circles around. He keeps his distance from Chief Dean. After the chief leaned forcefully into the students, Aidan encouraged his protesters to lock arms, but the chief slips away with his flap. Nobody bothers him, and Aidan and the chief never touch. Returns to his command post with his confiscated tent flap. And then the police produced this completely false affidavit about Aidan, saying that he grabbed the chief, he shoved with him, they struggled, the chief was hurt by other things. Not true. The protesters did eventually set up a few small tents, but we now know from a right to know request by the media that the dean of students had written to the governor, who was pressing, do something, do something. So well, actually tents are not prohibited unless they camp overnight. So that means that the students were attacked and arrested for a pre-crime. They had not yet camped overnight, unless the chief pointed out Aidan Turner to go after. He's taken to the ground. Very violent. Quickly, you can see here the stills. He's not running away. He's facing them. He doesn't know why. He's not told he's under arrest. He's then put in jail by the highly regarded Captain Prosecutor Francis Weeks, who studied human rights and thought he could do a lot as a police officer to protect rights. Arrestees had been told that you have to argue your case in court, but then the charges against the one counter-protester were dropped, raising some constitutional issues. The charges against Aidan Turner and others, including altogether four people who addressed you on February 9th. But Captain Weeks now invites other defendants to discuss the disposition of their case. So I think questions about Durham just sort of passively backing up this process. So I ask you to consider that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Since Wayne Burton mentioned last time a statement signed by 150 plus UNH faculty, I didn't
Ready for the next?
Thank
Hi,
you.
I'm Sally Tobias of 107 Madbury Road. I'm here because I want to just I've already spoken to two counselors about this. It's the parking here on nights when we have meetings, such as planning board meetings, and the Tide Line across the street is having a particular. I don't think this is Tide Line's responsibility or problem. I think that people driving to Tide Line, if they can't find a place to park, they come across to here. This is a public building. I see no reason why they shouldn't be parking here. However, on nights that we have busy meetings, such as planning board meetings, I think that it would be good if the planning board members themselves had a place to park. I had to park illegally at the last planning board meeting, and I was not really happy about it, as a couple of the counselors that were there that evening can attest to. And basically, if I got a ticket, you or token paying it. I think it's a simple thing. I know that you have approached High Line and you've asked them to put up signs, but by the time people are in line, to see the signs, they've already parked. And that's not their responsibility. I think it's the responsibility of the town of Durham to make access to their property for the appropriate reasons on the appropriate nights. It's as simple as putting up an A-frame, town meeting in process, town meeting parking only, thank you. And then people would see else. They'd come back the next night, there would be no sign, and they would park in here. Because I don't think it's very inconvenient if you come here, park in your planning board meeting, but I think it's actually not appropriate at all if you're here to watch, as a member of the public, to watch a particular application, public hearing, and you're being denied access or easy access to park. I don't think that that's at all particularly appropriate. So I think it's a simple fix, piece of paper and an A-frame. Block that night, bring it in when you don't need it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight? Is there anyone on Zoom?
Fair amount of people on Zoom, no one with their hands up.
Okay, thank you. All right. In that case, I don't know if we have anyone from UNH to speak tonight. May not be until the fall.
Yeah, I think not any.
All right. So unanimous consent agenda is next, and you would like to...
Pull
Mr.
B.
Friedrichs? B?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I had a question about D as well.
Okay.
Get more information about, will there be a presentation by Public Works on the, what a biosolids dryer would look like and what purpose it would serve before that public hearing?
We could begin that topic with a brief presentation from Public Works if you feel that would be helpful.
Yeah.
I think it would be, but it's just me. I could also email with, during public.
It's a really interesting topic.
Yeah.
That's a great idea to have
I
the
do know what it
presentation.
does, but, yeah, so...
Okay, that would be
Yeah, so we can
appreciated,
just
and then
pull it.
I,
And C? All right.
D, wasn't it?
Oh,
Oh,
well,
I'm sorry.
We'll
I'm
do A and
happy-
C, we'll skip B and D.
okay, D, I just wanted to ask if there was a
Yeah.
presentation. It's good.
That's fine,
So-
that's fine. So I move that the Durham Town Council does hereby accept the recommendations of the assessor, Jim Rice, the town clerk tax collector, Rachel Dean, and the administrator relative to FY 2024 property tax in the total amount of $5,748 due to either a clerical or billing error. And I move that Durham Town Council, does by upon recommendation of the administrator, award the 2024 road and sidewalk program to Continental Paving Incorporated of Londonderry, New Hampshire, in the amount of $775,009, and authorize the administrator to sign the associated 9 cents, and authorize the administrator to sign the associated contract.
Second.
A second from Councillor Lund. Paul, and we'll start with Councillor.
Curtis Register, aye. Eric Lund, aye.
Wayne Burton, aye.
Joe Friedman, aye.
Sly Nedell, aye.
James Bubar, aye.
Heather Grant, aye.
All right, so I'll go ahead and move B, and then we'll discuss. So I'll just go ahead. I move the Durham Town Council does hereby, upon recommendation of the administrator, authorize the purchase of a new 2024 507 SFA six-wheel international dump truck with Cummins L9 diesel engine from Allegiance Trucks of Manchester, New Hampshire, in the amount of $88,350 from the account of 07-2403-801-36-000. And then if there's a second part to this. The Durham Town Council does hereby, upon recommendation of the administrator, authorize the purchase of a new 2024 model SL24 with stainless steel dump body skidded sander, front and wing plow, and Cyrus dual spread sander controls from HP Fairfield of Hopkinton, New Hampshire, in the amount of $148,022 from the account of 07-2403-801-36-0. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second from Councillor Bubar. All right, discussion.
I was just hoping to hear a little bit more from you. about these trucks and specifically, why the pursuit of diesel? What about an electric engine did not work for both of these? And also kind of the advantages of buying brand new diesel at this time as opposed to perhaps, maybe a secondhand truck that would have a shorter lifespan, but maybe could be replaced by something electric in the future. Our climate goals are headed for 2030, and wondering about trying to get as much of our fleet electrified by 2030 as possible.
I see that we have DPW Director Rich Rain with us tonight. Rich, would you like to address that?
Sure, I definitely can.
Thank you.
So thanks, Em, for the question. I think in the memo that I provided to you, we provided a little overview of the EV process and some of the decisions that we made regarding that. In short, these types of trucks that are frontline trucks that sometimes do emergency service duty during snowstorms for 30, 35 hours straight, there is no battery technology that will allow that to take place. We've been searching and we've been in deep discussions with some of the, not only the dealers, but the actual manufacturers, Mack, Peterbilt, and they tell us that the battery technology just isn't there and they don't foresee that coming in the near future. What I can say is that the diesel vehicle that we are purchasing and the diesel powertrain and the engine itself is one of the most modern and low emission type diesel motors that is available. So some of the grants that are out there, specifically the DERA grant, which is the Diesel Emissions Reduction Act grant, they will fund these types of diesel engines themselves, aside from the EV type vehicles that they're also funding. So when there's an opportunity for us to purchase an EV type Class 8 truck, I'll pause for a second. I thought I might have heard a question there.
No, we're fine.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rich. Thank you.
When to purchase an EV truck, we really move forward with that aggressively and do the due diligence to see how that might work. The solid waste collection vehicles that we were able to receive that $700,000 plus grant for, we're able to our operation and find ways that we're able to utilize that truck effectively in the routes for solid waste collection. Typically not a truck that will be on for that 30, 35 hour emergency response. So I think if we were to purchase a used diesel with a engine that isn't as modern as the one that we have, we would probably be creating more of a problem, not only operation dependability of the truck, but from an emissions standpoint.
Go ahead.
Rich,
Mr. Bubar.
what do you expect the lifespan to be for this vehicle?
These are typically put on a 10-year replacement schedule, James.
Thank you.
I think maybe you did share this information. I thought it was maybe in an email and didn't think it had made it into the memo, but I wanted the public to hear this information as well. So I appreciate you revisiting it. And if it was in the memo and I just mixed up information there, then I apologize. But I'm glad that the public got to hear that explanation. So
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to talk about it. I think it's an